Hey, welcome during this 10th episode of Microsoft Enterprise Mobility Tips. Today I will be covering self-service password reset. We all have experienced this, or if you are an administrator, you know what I'm talking about. People coming back from their holiday and they completely forgot about their password. For the 10th time. This is a huge issue because they need to call the service desk, their password need to be resetted, and so on and so on. When I was starting my career in IT back in the 90s, I started at a service desk, and people always often called me that they forgot their password. And then if I had people who were calling me for the second time, I was figuring out what to give there as a temporary password. Back in the days, we were using Novell, so we could decide what password that would be given. So I was starting with dumb. And after they called me back, I was trying to use dumb. I wouldn't be able to do that. So it would be dumb. And so on, so on. So after, I think 3 times, people were noticing that, oh, I need to make sure that I'm not forgetting my password anymore. But this is also a risk because people are going to change their password to something they will be easily remembering. And when they are able to easily remember it, it's often also easily guessable. So in my next couple of tips, I will be covering about securing the identity. And one way of doing this is by enabling self-service password reset. Not only this will be solving a lot of issues and save a lot of money because the service desk doesn't need to change their password anymore. The users can do it themselves. And it is a lot of saver because to be able to use self-service password reset, we also need to have multi-factor authentication enabled on our users' identities, which will help solving a lot of issues around password breaches. But more on this in a later session. When enabling self-service password reset, we can enable this for all users or just a group of users. But this allows the users to reset their password via web interface. So they only need to have access to a computer or a mobile device to be able to reset their password. It also integrates with the logon screen. So we are able to add a link to the Windows 10, Windows 8.1. We can add a link to the out-of-the-box experience, the Ctrl-Alt-Delete screen, to allow the users to reset the password from there. This is done via Omayuri, a custom setting in Microsoft Intune or whatever MDM you are going to use. You need to allow the AAD password reset to be configured to set to 1. So let's switch to the AAD Admin Center. So if we go to Azure Active Directory, we have the option all down to reset the password. In my environment, this is already being enabled for all users, which means that all users are allowed to reset their password. Besides enabling password reset, we need to configure some settings around the password reset experience. So authentication methods, we are able to configure the methods that are available for the users. So in my case, I am currently configured to only have one method required to reset the password. To make it more secure, I'm now going to reconfigure this to allow at least 2 methods. So to be able to do this, I need to select another option, for instance, the mobile app notification. So I'm requiring mobile app notification or email or mobile phone. So if I click save, this setting will be saved, and I will show you later how this will look at the end user experience. For the registration part, we are able to require the users to register for self-service password reset while signing in. And if required, we are able to configure the number of days before the users need to reconfirm their authentication information. By default, this is 180 days. So we leave it as default, and we are able to configure the notifications around the password reset. So, do we want to inform the users when a password is being resetted? Maybe this is a valid option, because if somebody has breached the account and has access to some other authentication methods, then you may want to inform the users just to make sure that a password has been resetted. You can also notify the admins when other admins are resetting their password. Regards to customizations, we can add a custom help desk link, and we can integrate the on-premises Azure Active Directory if required. If we want to do this, we need to enable write back of the password hashes from Azure AD to the on-premises AD. And then we basically have the on-premises integration enabled. Regards to usage and insights, we are able to see how how many users are registered, how many users are enabled, how many users can reset their passwords, etc., etc. So this gives a good view about your environment. Let's see how this works for an end user. So if I go to mysignins.microsoft.com, which we covered earlier, and I will sign in with Bob. Add the password, and for some reason I forgot my password. I don't have access to my password anymore. So now I have the option to choose reset it now. For the user ID is automatically re-entered, and I need to enter a CAPTCHA code so that automated systems cannot use this way of resetting the password. So first, I'm able to choose my authentication method. So for verification step 1, I will be using my mobile phone, or let's call the mobile phone, or just approve via the authentication app. So in this case, let's Microsoft call my phone. I need to enter my phone number.
For using the Microsoft sign-in verification system, please press the pound key to finish your verification. Your sign-in was successfully verified. Goodbye.
And that was the verification step 1. Next, I'm able to approve the notification via the Authenticator app. So my user needs to have multi-factor authentication, and I need to approve this message. Now I'm able to reset my password. I will choose a password, a strong password, which I will remember, and I click finish. And now I'm able to log on to my website again. Here you see the virtual machine. If we press Ctrl Delete, we will see that the reset password option is appearing. So if I click reset password, then I will need to wait a couple of seconds, and then a browser will be popped up where I have the same experience of changing my password. And here we go. Here we see get you back into your account. My username is already filled in. Click next, and then I have the alternative ways of authenticating. which is basically the same process I've shown you earlier. So we can cancel this one out. So if we go back to the portal and go to endpoint.microsoft.com, the new Microsoft Endpoint Manager / Intune console, we authenticate. So the new Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. If we go to devices and then to Windows to filter the at least the configuration profiles for Windows, and then we choose configuration profiles. We have a clearer view, and then we have the option or the profile here to allow the password reset. So what I've done, like shown in the slide, is if we go to properties and then open the Omayuri settings, then you see here that the Omayuri is being set. Let's add it to allow the AAD password reset, which is an integer set to 1, and this allows you to have the out-of-the-box password reset option within Windows 10. So with that, in a recap, make sure to enable MFA and self-service password reset for all of your users. This will help you immensely. It will secure your environment via MFA, but it will also help your service desks that they don't need to reset passwords every time a user forgets his password. So with that, some great resources, a tutorial to enable self-service password reset in your environment, and of course the links to my blog. If you have ideas for Microsoft Intune, for Config Manager, go to User Voice. The Intune team and the Config Manager team is actively looking at the User Voice to get ideas, to see what is needed to make the products even better as they are right now. So go to User Voice, vote on ideas that are already submitted. Submit your ideas and get some votes and help to shape the products even better. So thank you very much for joining me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and get connected via Twitter. Thank you again and hope to see you next time at enterprisemobility.tips.